Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. Ayurveda Day celebrated in more than 150 countries. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi announces free hospital treatment for every senior citizen of the country aged above 70 years. Election campaign at its peak in the United States. Presidential candidates Kamala Harris and Donald Trump crisscross the country, meeting voters. Spain and Manchester City midfielder Rodri pips Vinicius Jr. to win the Ballon d'Or for Best Player in the World. Spain's Aitana Bonmati bags the Women's Award for the second consecutive year. And festivities grip India. Dhanteras marks the beginning of the 5-day-long Diwali celebrations. On the occasion of Dhanvantari Jayanti and the 9th Ayurveda Day, on Tuesday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched, inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of multiple projects related to the health sector worth over $1.5 billion at the All India Institute of Ayurveda in New Delhi. The Prime Minister also announced free hospital treatment for every senior citizen of the country aged above 70 years. Here's the report.
Ayurveda, India's ancient medical tradition renowned for harmonizing the mind, body, spirit and promotes holistic wellness. Under the theme Ayurveda Innovation for Global Health, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the 9th Ayurveda Day in New Delhi. Focused on building a healthier India, PM inaugurated and laid the foundation for numerous healthcare projects. The Prime Minister emphasized that over the last decade, India has witnessed a transformative chapter in healthcare, integrating the age-old wisdom of Ayurveda with modern medicine.
150 से ज्यादा देशों में आयुर्वेद दिवस मनाया जा रहा है। ये प्रमाण है आयुर्वेद को लेकर बढ़ रहे वैश्विक आकर्षण का, और ये प्रमाण है कि नया भारत अपने प्राचीन अनुभवों से विश्व को कितना कुछ दे सकता है।
Highlighting the government's commitment to the health of its citizens, Prime Minister Modi outlined the 5 foundational pillars of India's health policy.
पहला, प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर, यानी बीमारी होने से पहले का बचाव। दूसरा, समय पर बीमारी की जांच। तीसरा, मुफ्त और सस्ता इलाज, सस्ती दवाएं। चौथा, छोटे शहरों में अच्छा इलाज, डॉक्टरों की कमी दूर करना। और पांचवा, स्वास्थ्य सेवा में टेक्नोलॉजी का विस्तार।
In a move to support elderly citizens, PM Modi announced that every citizen over the age of 70 will now receive free treatment in hospitals across the country.
अब 70 वर्ष से अधिक उम्र के देश के हर बुजुर्ग को अस्पताल में मुफ्त इलाज मिलेगा। ऐसे बुजुर्गों को आयुष्मान वय वंदना कार्ड दिया जाएगा।
PM Modi also introduced the Yuvan platform, a cutting-edge digital interface for India's health sector. It will benefit pregnant women and infants by fully digitalizing the vaccination process. PM Modi also stressed the government's efforts to reduce healthcare costs, mentioning the expansion of PM Jan Aushadhi Kendras. Over the past decade, India's healthcare sector has seen unprecedented growth, reflecting well-being as a core value of the nation's character. With Tripathi, Bureau Report, DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Rozgar Mela and distributed more than 51,000 appointment letters to newly appointed youth in government departments and organizations via a video conference today. The Rozgar Mela, it highlights the Prime Minister's commitment to prioritizing employment generation. It will empower the youth by providing them with meaningful opportunities to contribute to nation building. Prime Minister Modi said that the provision has been made for paid internships in the top 500 companies of India under the Prime Minister's internship scheme.
नए इंडस्ट्रियल शहर बनाए जा रहे हैं, पानी की पाइपलाइन, गैस की पाइपलाइनें बिछाई जा रही है, बड़ी संख्या में स्कूल, कॉलेज, यूनिवर्सिटी खोले जा रहे हैं, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर पैसे खर्च कर सरकार लॉजिस्टिक्स की लागत कम करने की कोशिश कर रही है। इन सारे कामों से देश के लोगों को सुविधा तो मिल ही रही है, लेकिन साथ साथ करोड़ों की संख्या में रोजगार के भी नए मौके बन रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit the western Indian state of Gujarat on the 30th and 31st of October. On Wednesday, he will travel to Kevadia, where the Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of various infrastructural and development projects worth over 280 crore rupees, that's 2.8 billion rupees, in Ekta Nagar. These projects aim to enhance the tourist experience, improve accessibility and support sustainability initiatives in the area. Thereafter, Prime Minister Modi will address the officer trainees of the 99th Common Foundation course in Aramb 6.0. And on Thursday, Prime Minister will offer floral tributes at the Statue of Unity, which will be followed by the Rashtriya Ekta Divas celebrations. The third edition of the Acing Development and Innovative Technologies with IDEX Challenge and the 13th edition of Defence India Startup Challenges, they were unveiled by India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh during the Naval Innovation and Indigenization Organization Seminar, Swavalambam, at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi on Tuesday. These challenges, they aim to advance indigenous defence technologies and operational efficiencies. The Defence Minister also felicitated IDEX winners and hackathon awardees. On the occasion, the Minister acknowledged the role of public and private sectors in defence innovation and production. He said that nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come.
भारत में रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट, इनोवेशन और टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलपमेंट की बढ़ती हुई गति को मैं खुद अपनी आंखों से देख पा रहा हूं। इस बात की पुष्टि मैं इस प्रकार से कर सकता हूं। पिछले सिर्फ 15 दिनों में ही मैं लगभग 3-4 ऐसे कार्यक्रमों में भाग ले चुका हूं जो इन विषयों से संबंधित रहे, चाहे वो SIDM का कार्यक्रम हो, TDF का कार्यक्रम हो या फिर डेफ कनेक्ट हो। यह फ्रीक्वेंसी अपने आप में इस ओर स्पष्ट इशारा करती है कि भारत में अब इनोवेशन की एक लहर चल रही है।
The second phase of the Army Commanders Conference concluded in New Delhi on Tuesday. This phase witnessed the Indian Army's senior leadership deliberating on critical strategic issues affecting both border security and the hinterland. A key highlight of the conference was the address by India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on the theme of evolving geopolitical landscape and opportunities for the Indian Armed Forces. Dr. Jaishankar underscored the intricate global and geopolitical dynamics that impact India and highlighted the country's expectations from the armed forces and the preparedness required to address the contradictions and challenges of the current world order. On the second day of the Innovation and Indigenization Seminar, which is being organized by the Navy at the Bharat Mandapam in the capital, New Delhi, There were several sessions which focused on building an innovative ecosystem of the Indian defense manufacturing sector. The Vice Navy Chief and Secretary of Defense Production addressed the inaugural seminars.
With disruptive technologies such as AI, ML, big data, and quantum computing at the core of this phenomenon, countries across the globe are investing heavily in miniaturization, digitization, and autonomous systems. We certainly need to invest more time, effort, energy, and money in big tech and in developing niche and disruptive technologies if we want to continue remaining relevant in global affairs.
Now, this is about self-reliance in the Indian Defence Forces. Pioneering the next generation defence technology, an Indian company has developed nano drones. These disposable lightweight drones are quite helpful for a foot soldier on the ground. DD India correspondent Vishal Barrister brings us this story from the Indian Navy Conclave Swavalambam in Delhi.
This is a nano drone and it weighs less than 250 grams. It is so very special. Why? Because it would give the soldier on the ground all the information about the enemy, and it is disposable also. I have with me Group Captain Sidhu. He is from Bot Labs. Group Captain Sidhu, what is so special about this drone?
This drone has been given as a challenge, part of the IDEX under the Ministry of Defense, that the Indian Navy wanted for their foot soldiers. So design-wise, it should be less than 250 grams so that it is portable, something like this. And when you take it out, it's ready to be launched within 2 minutes. It covers a distance of 2 kilometers, providing the live feed to the soldiers so that they can plan and execute with the help of 2 stations where they get a feed. It definitely has the edge in terms of acoustics being very low. It can come to 30 meters and still you'll not be able to hear it. That gives information seeking faster than the enemy would recognize the presence of the drone.
And why is it called disposable?
Disposable is because the inherent design of the drone is such that it does not give away any information even if it is caught by the enemy or the adversaries.
And is it an all-weather, all-terrain thing?
Yes, it is for all terrain and beyond line of sight. It gives a real-time picture to the soldiers to take action.
So there you hear, and that is why Indian Armed Forces are truly becoming self-reliant. With cameraman Saurabh in Delhi, this is Vishal Barrister for DD India.
Well, still to come here on DD India Newshour. Qatar says that it will work with the Biden administration until last minute for a Gaza ceasefire deal. The Russian President Vladimir Putin announces a new strategic nuclear training exercise. And the European Union is set to impose extra tariffs on Chinese EVs. Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Mark Lynn. With just days left for the US presidential election, both candidates are in high gear, rallying their bases and addressing controversies. The Republican nominee Donald Trump has been making his case across groups and conservative circles, while the Democratic nominee Kamala Harris isn't holding back either. We take a closer look at how the candidates are positioning themselves in this neck-and-neck race.
On Monday, the Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump met with religious leaders in New York, discussing the role of religion in sustaining the nation.
Really, people would say a Christian and really religious, even other faiths country. And that seems to be heading in the wrong direction. And I think as that goes down, I think that our country goes down. I really do. I think this is a country that needs religion. It's like the glue that holds it together.
In Atlanta, Trump took aim at his critics for dismissing his strict immigration policies. His recent comments on Puerto Ricans at the New York rally drew widespread backlash, prompting Trump to clarify that he rejects any comparison to Nazi ideology.
And yet they use that word freely, both words. They use it, he's Hitler. And then they say, he's a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite of a Nazi. I don't know.
Trump's remarks on immigrants have sparked a fierce debate, fueling criticism from Democrats. Kamala Harris, the Democratic presidential nominee and current vice president, called Trump's statement divisive.
I think last night Donald Trump's event in Madison Square Garden really highlighted a point that I've been making throughout this campaign. He is focused and actually fixated on his grievances, on himself, and on dividing our country. And it is not in any way something that will strengthen the American family, the American worker. It is nothing about what he is saying that is actually going to support the aspirations, the dreams, and the ambitions of the American people.
Harris addressed a rally of semiconductor plant workers in Michigan, pledging better support for workers if she wins the election. There, she criticized Trump's recent, what she called, reckless comments.
Just kind of diminishing who we are as America and talking down at people. Talking about, I don't know, that we're the garbage can of the world. We're not.
In another Michigan rally alongside her running mate, Tim Walz, Harris warned of serious consequences of a potential Trump presidency.
I do believe Donald Trump to be an unserious man, but the consequences of him ever being president again are brutally serious. Brutally serious. Consider, on the topic we were just discussing, Donald Trump still refuses to acknowledge the pain and suffering he has caused.
With just a week remaining before the US election, voter sentiment is heating up. Both Trump and Harris remain neck and neck in key battleground states, which will decide America's future on the 5th of November. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, personal attacks in the US presidential election are getting increasingly vitriolic as the election day of November 5th approaches. Donald Trump returned to the swing state of Georgia. He used the predictable ploy of religion and trust deficit to attack his opponent Kamala Harris. DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh reports from Atlanta.
Kamala, you're fired. Donald Trump lambasting Kamala Harris at a rally in Atlanta. He returned to the swing state of Georgia on Monday as campaigning for presidential polls enters the last leg. Attacks are getting sharper.
Next Tuesday, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had a terrible, terrible run, that you've hurt our country very badly. You've let murderers into our country and drug dealers. You've let human traffickers in. You've let terrorists into our country.
I think he's just really powerful. He gives us a lot of confidence within talking to other world leaders.
Earlier, Donald Trump told the National Faith Advisory Board that religion, particularly Christianity, was under threat under current Biden-Harris regime.
I mean, honestly, religion is under threat in this country, serious threat. And we can't let that happen because I really believe it's sort of the fabric of our country. It's the thing that holds our country together. And we can't lose it. And we're not going to lose it. We're not going to lose it.
Republican Donald Trump also touted a role for Elon Musk in his administration if he wins the presidency. Millions of Americans have already cast their vote before November 5th election. Polls show a close race between Trump and Kamala Harris. On Monday, Donald Trump returned to Atlanta and launched a scathing attack on Kamala Harris. He called the Democrat administration anti-Christian and radical left and promised a golden future for America under his leadership. As the election day approaches, the key swing states like Georgia are becoming a center for vitriolic campaigning. With camera person Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Atlanta.
Well, as Americans gear up to vote in the US presidential elections on November 5th, opinion polls and surveys reflect that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are locked in a tight race. Their campaigns thus are focused more on the electorally important swing states. DD India correspondent Amritpal Singh reports from Pennsylvania, which is one of the key 7 swing states. Let's take a look.
With just days left for the November 5th election, both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are neck and neck in most of the swing states, especially in Pennsylvania, where I am right now. It holds 19 of the electoral college votes, and that's why you see both candidates focusing their energies on this state. It can't get closer in the Penn state as state swings. In 2016, Donald Trump took it from Hillary Clinton by just a 0.7 percentage difference. Biden snatched it from Trump in 2020, but by a margin of 1.2 percentage points. This time around, both candidates are neck and neck. The difference is just 0.5 percentage points. November 5th will decide how Pennsylvania votes. Once it was reliably Democratic, but not anymore. It swings every election. So Pennsylvania is important, followed, of course, by Georgia and North Carolina, which hold, and Michigan, they hold most seats. Nevada, Arizona, they are smaller states, but all the swing states are important for both candidates because this election's outcome will be decided by these swing states because the other ones remain or continue to remain blue and red as they were in the last election and the election before that. With cameraman Sanjay Jaina, this is Amritpal Singh in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Well, DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh is now joining us live from Atlanta in Georgia. Shubhendu, good to have you with us. You know, from an organizational point of view, how do these elections compare with the elections in the world's largest democracy, India?
Hello, Mark. Well, that's an interesting question and quite a dramatic comparison, really. India, of course, concluded the general elections earlier this year. So the first difference that we would see is in the dramatic difference in the absolute number of participants in these elections. In India, nearly 1 billion eligible voters. Here in the United States, the number of registered voters stands at somewhere around upwards of 160 million. Again, an interesting difference that exists between India and America would be in the innovations that America has also put to use in making sure that democracy thrives in its processes. Early voting is one such concept. Imagine 45 days before the actual election date, one can choose to cast their ballot. And that makes it convenient for most people to who are willing to vote and are eligible to vote, are able to exercise it through postal ballot or walking up to the voting center at a time of one's convenience. Also, because the absolute number of participants is so different in India and America, here we see a more hands-on approach. At the presidential level, of course, there are big rallies that we witness for Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, but there are a number of other elections that are happening alongside for senators, for House of Representatives, for city commissioners. And there we see these candidates actually standing at the voting booth with their own pamphlets, reaching out to voters directly, one-on-one. So in that sense, we see the difference between India and America. And one final area of difference, Mark, would be the multi-party system that we see in India. In America, it is still the Republicans and the Democrats that dominate the political scene, at least at the higher levels of the government. Mark?
Indeed. Shubhendu, also, you know, some of the progressives, they are still concerned about that electoral college and the supposed gerrymandering support that seems to give the Conservatives an edge. Is this debate and argument that every vote has an equal value going anywhere?
Well, Mark, this debate around electoral college vote, if it is the best way to represent the voice of the people, is actually as old as American democracy and constitution. It has been debated over the decades in American history. But given that nothing decisive has changed about it, speaks volumes about where most of the interest and loyalties lie as far as staying with this concept of electoral votes is concerned. Yes, technically it does give a certain edge to the Conservatives, to the Republican candidates, but then there have been many Democrats precedent as well. So again, the election system in America, for those of us who do not know, it's not about popular vote, it's not about who wins the maximum vote overall, but it is about who sweeps that electoral college votes in every state. And in that context, the swing states become hugely important. Broadly, America is divided into the red and the blue state, red for the Republicans, blue for the Democrat supporters. But these seven, and they also keep changing with different elections. These 7 swing states, the polls have, the opinion polls have sort of failed to make a breakthrough as to where do the loyalties of the voters of these 7 states lie. And that's what makes it interesting. Sure. But yes, it's the electoral college votes that would finally decide who enters the White House, not popular vote. Mark?
Shubhendu, you know, both Republicans and Democrats, they have their own echo chambers on social media, and their supporters don't seem to be watching the other side at all. So how polarized is this electorate?
It is being touted as one of the most polarized elections, Mark, this election. And we'll also have to see the complexity of the manner in which this polarization is taking place. It's not just about polarization between whether one supports the Democrats or the Republican, whether it's about Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. There is a lot of deeper polarization issue-wise as well that further complicates these elections. I'll give you an example. For example, there are people who support Donald Trump, but not his stand on the issue of abortion. So there is a separate amendment in at least 10 states on the issue of abortion. And there are people who are likely to take a pro-abortion stand as far as that amendment is concerned, and yet they might vote for Donald Trump as far as the next president is concerned. So this complex polarization, not just vis-a-vis the candidates, but issue-wise as well, is making it very difficult to predict who really has an edge in these competitive elections.
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Shubhendu Ghosh, for joining us from Atlanta. And with the US elections in the background, a ceasefire deal in West Asia could have an impact on how voters view the Biden-Harris administration's handling of this volatile conflict. Time is of the essence, but clearly Israel is pressing ahead with its plans, perhaps taking advantage of the lame duck American administration at the current time. The UN and several Western allies have condemned Israel's decision to ban UNRWA. Mihir Makori reports. After a year-long Israel-Hamas conflict, significant diplomatic talks have taken place in the Qatari capital Doha. Israel's Mossad chief and the CIA director attended these discussions. Qatar announced on Tuesday that it will work with US President Joe Biden's administration until the last minute before the presidential election to reach a ceasefire deal for Gaza.
We have been working tirelessly with this administration and with the United States, and we appreciate the support that the process has received from the U.S. administration up to now. And to the last minute, I think we will be working with the administration on achieving a deal in Gaza. On the other hand, Israel has passed a controversial law banning the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, or UNRWA, from operating within its borders. This legislation is rooted in allegations of UNRWA staff involvement in the October 7th attack on southern Israel, with lawmakers citing concerns over staff affiliations with Hamas and other armed groups.
If the United Nations is not willing to clean this organization from terrorism, from Hamas activists, then we have to take measures to make sure that they cannot harm our people ever again.
The UN aid agency, which now faces an uncertain future, has reacted sharply to the Israeli move.
There are many questions as we are present at the crossings, and we are almost the only body in Gaza that carries out extensive humanitarian and relief operations, schools and clinics, everything. We form a lifeline.
The United Nations and several Western allies have condemned Israel's decision, expressing concern that it could exacerbate an already dire humanitarian situation. Meanwhile, Lebanese armed group Hezbollah has elected its deputy head, Naim Qasim, as the new leader. Qasim replaces Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah, who was killed in an Israeli airstrike on Beirut over a month ago. Reacting to the development, Israel warned Qasim not to follow in the footsteps of his predecessors, or else his tenure in this position may be the shortest in history. On the battlefield, Israel's Iron Dome defense system intercepted over 100 projectiles fired by Hezbollah from Lebanon on Monday. In retaliation, Israeli forces continue to strike on Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, tensions escalated as Yemen's Houthis claimed to have launched drones targeting an industrial zone in the Israeli city of Ashkelon. All in all, it will be interesting to see how diplomatic talks unfold to seize the ongoing conflict in West Asia. Mihir Makuri's report, DD India. Well, shifting focus to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, President Vladimir Putin has launched a new exercise of Russia's nuclear forces, marking the second drill in just 2 weeks amid escalating conflict in Ukraine. Putin said that Russia would not take part in any arms race, but that Moscow needed to have its own nuclear forces ready for use.
Today, we are conducting another exercise of strategic deterrence forces. We will work out the actions of officials in controlling the use of nuclear weapons with practical launches of ballistic and cruise missiles. I would like to stress out that we are not going to be involved in a new arms race, but we will maintain nuclear forces at the level of necessary sufficiency.
Well, still to come here on DD India NewsHour. We're going to be discussing India's enormous healthcare initiatives that provide health cover to over 550 million people. And India's Home Minister Amit Shah unveils a statue of Sardar Patel, India's first Home Minister in Delhi.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, India's healthcare sector has undergone significant transformation, marked by advancements in infrastructure, technology, and accessibility. This journey towards enhancing public health has been propelled by, focused efforts to meet the Sustainable Development Goals and also a commitment to bolstering the healthcare infrastructure of India. Let's look at this report.
In a significant move, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended the Ayushman Bharat scheme to senior citizens aged 70 years and above, effective from October 29, 2024. This extension aims to provide comprehensive healthcare support to senior citizens, ensuring they receive necessary medical care without financial burden. With this expansion, senior citizens will receive individual health coverage of up to 500,000 rupees per year, separate from the family's existing coverage. The coverage is for their lifetime, ensuring continuous access to healthcare services. There is no income limit for eligibility, making it accessible to all senior citizens. Every elderly person above 70 years of age will get free treatment through the Ayushman Vaya Vandana card, significantly reducing out-of-pocket expenditure. Senior citizens already covered under other public health insurance schemes can choose to continue with their existing scheme or opt for Ayushman Bharat. Those with private health insurance can also benefit from the scheme. However, the scheme has not been implemented in Delhi and West Bengal. PM Modi affirmed that no poor child's dream of becoming a doctor would be shattered and no middle-class student would be forced to study abroad due to lack of options in India. Nearly 100,000 new MBBS and MD seats have been added over the past 10 years, with another 75,000 seats to be added in the next 5 years. The Prime Minister also laid the foundation stone of 5 nursing colleges in Shivpuri, Ratlam, Khandwa, Rajgarh and Mandsaur in Madhya Pradesh, 21 critical care blocks in Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Manipur, Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan under the Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission, and several facilities and service extensions at AIIMS in New Delhi and AIIMS Bilaspur, Himachal Pradesh. These projects will bring healthcare benefits to around 5.5 million ESI beneficiaries. The Prime Minister has been a strong proponent of expanding the usage of technology to enhance service delivery across sectors. In an innovative usage of drone technology to make healthcare more accessible, the Prime Minister launched drone services at 11 tertiary healthcare institutions. The Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission has an outlay of around $8 billion over the 6 years, aiming to strengthen health systems at all levels of primary, secondary, and tertiary care. This includes establishing 17,788 rural and 11,024 urban health and wellness centers, setting up 3,382 block public health units, establishing health labs in all districts, building critical care hospital blocks in districts with populations over 500,000, and launching helicopter emergency services and drone-based healthcare delivery. The Prime Minister also launched a nationwide campaign, Desh Ka Prakriti Parikshan Abhiyan, aiming to raise health awareness among citizens. He also launched the state-specific action plan on climate change and human health for each state and UT, which will lay out adaptation strategies towards developing climate-resilient healthcare services. Bureau Report, DD India.
And we are privileged to have with us Professor V.K. Paul, Member Health at Niti Aayog. Thank you very much, Dr. Paul, for being with us. So let's start with the aspect of extending Ayushman Bharat to the people, for senior citizens above 70. You know, affordability is obviously key. But how do you view this prioritizing also from a socio-economic point of view?
Well, today has been an auspicious day and a historic day in the history of India for the health sector. Comprehensive infrastructure projects, as have been covered in the film, have been launched or initiated. But it's very special for the senior citizens of India today. Today is incidentally the celebration in the name of Lord Dhanvantari, who is the mythological god of health and well-being and welfare and prosperity. The Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, the health assurance scheme, mega scheme, the world's biggest scheme of its kind, already has been covering, as you said, 550 million people and providing half a million rupee coverage for the family. But now to this has been added the coverage for senior citizens above the age of 70 years, all of them.
Right.
The existing scheme covers the bottom 40% individuals. It doesn't cover everybody, but it covers the most needy, the most vulnerable, and serving very effectively. But now for senior citizens, it is universal. It means irrespective, regardless of the socio-economic status, regardless of income, everybody is going to be covered in this scheme.
Right.
And the coverage is 500,000 rupees. It's a coverage per family. So it's going to benefit 45 million families,
right,
and 60 million senior citizens of this age.
The question that comes to mind, Dr. Paul, is that healthcare, of course, could be a huge challenge for a country like India, the size of India, and we can see that this is already the largest scheme. To what extent has infrastructure matched the demand over the last 10 years?
Well, these last 10 years have been remarkable in increasing the infrastructure for our nation. Let me take one example, infrastructure at the primary healthcare levels. As was also mentioned in the report, India is transforming its primary healthcare system by upgrading and making it optimally functional. The health and wellness center, we call them Ayushman Mandirs.
Yes.
These are more than 175,000 in numbers in rural areas and urban areas. And a typical Ayushman Mandir covers about 6,000 population. So for that population, very finite size population, there is a new worker, a trained nurse, whom we call now community health officer. 140,000 of them have been deployed in the last 5 years. So a real push for primary healthcare infrastructure, and this would provide free drugs to the tune of as many as more than 100, and in the larger ones more than 170 drugs. Right. Diagnostics in the small sub-center, Ayushman Arogya Mandir is 14, and 42 if it is primary health center, the bigger Ayushman Arogya Mandirs. It will also be a hub for screening. It will provide primary health care through 12 comprehensive packages. So taking infrastructure and services closest to the people. This is one example. The other example of infrastructure strengthening is what you heard partly on the film. We have built from 6 new AIMSs, right. 22 AIMSs are right. now, in place in these 10 years. You heard about critical care units in all districts and in medical colleges. Critical care units are right. being established. Intensive care units for pediatric care are being established. Sure. Then you heard about our pandemic preparedness, within which more than 3,000 block primary healthcare units and laboratories will be established. All the districts will have integrated public health unit. From one National Center for Disease Control, the NCDC, which is like the CDC of the USA, we are going to have 5 branches, 30 branches, 5 regional centers, yes. and they will be in position. From single National Institute of Virology, they are going to be 4 additional virology. Sure. BSL lab 4, we have 1, it's going to be 4, and so on. It takes time to explain it. And today, it's going further with the employees scheme, employees social insurance scheme, yes. augmenting its services. You heard about new nursing colleges and so right. on. Absolutely. It's a great day for the
healthcare sector.
Indeed, definitely. For the entire healthcare sector, particularly for the health protection.
So today is also Ayurveda Day.
Indeed.
And we look at the growth of alternative medicine in India, Ayush, and how does it complement allopathy? Because it's being celebrated also in 150 countries across Indeed. The world. And how does it help us also in this Ayushman Bharat mission?
It's clearly the policy of the government that the care is to be provided in an integrative way, in a holistic way. And our traditional medicine, curated over thousands of years, more than 3,000, right. 4,000 years, is a heritage, but also a huge resource and a repository and a base for providing health care accepted by people. So in the course of these 10 years under the leadership of the Prime Minister, Ayurveda and Siddha and Unani and homeopathy and Sovarikpa, all these paddhatis of Indian origin and traditional system have found their place. They are visible, their presence has increased globally within the country. And today we had the second phase of the All India Institute of Ayurveda being yes. launched, and 5 other centers being launched, and so on and so forth. Our Ayurveda related exports right. have moved from $3 billion to $24 billion. Huge jump. So it's really huge. And it is, for us, it is a mainstream system which works in conjunction with the modern system for the benefit of the people. We also have the Global Center for Traditional Medicine yes. Coming up in Jamnagar. So there is a huge way forward. And today, one very important initiative has been launched. It's the campaign for public health, in which the classification of individuals right. based on Ayurveda principles, Prakriti, will be ascertained. So you'll be guided as you belong to this kind of, phenotype. You're prone to these kinds of diseases based on the Prakriti, and then guidance for prevention and for further care will be given.
So we've been talking at length about the Ayushman Bharat program. To what extent can it be emulated by other countries of the global south, and how best are we, sharing our best practices?
Well, Ayushman Bharat Pradhanvantari Jayanti Yojana, the health assurance scheme, the principles can be owned up and applied in other societies. What are the principles? Principles are that for the vulnerable, the responsibility for providing care without health shocks and health stress and out-of-pocket expenditure has to be borne by the public sector, by the government, from the taxpayer. Yes. That's our model. Number two, its principle is bring private sector and government sector together into one sector.
Yes.
But by having PMJ purchasing capabilities from the private sector as well as government sector, you bring it together. Third, the digital backbone of PMJ. Actually, they can just pick out this one from India, which is cashless, and it is transparent, it's visible, and it is so effective because it's based on a very, very robust India-made, center. And lastly, I would say it also imbibes the principle of federalism because we work together with the state government. So these four principles are indeed universal.
A final question, Dr. Paul. Indian doctors have excelled across the world, especially after all the training that they get here in India in the OPDs. So is there a concern that we have now 100,000 more seats for doctors, 75,000 more to be added, that doctors will be emigrating? Or do you look at this as India's soft power growing?
Firstly, we should look upon this creation of seats and manpower, human resource pipeline to start with for India. We need more doctors. We are currently, including Ayush, are 1.4 per thousand. Developed nations typically have 2.5 to 3 per thousand. So we have a journey to go to almost double, but clearly, as per the national health policy, go to 2 per thousand, and therefore we can add doctors and make sure that they move to the tier 2 system and beyond and are available to provide care. For those additional pathways have to be done, but only when you can do that only when there are doctors, and that's changing now, and indeed it is making a difference. Number two, yes indeed, and why not? As we have supply, which is more than what India needs, there are opportunities outside. Even today, more than 60,000 doctors in the UK system are Indian, and more than 90,000 in USA.
Absolutely.
And sure, there is a market out there, and Bharat ke doctors जो है वो मानवता के लिए है, तो उस context में ये सही है. लेकिन I'll just wrap up to say that being a special day, the Honorable Prime Minister said today that सिर्फ विकसित भारत 2047 is not our goal. A developed nation is of course the goal, but we also envision a Niramaya Bharat, which means an India which is free of ailments, free of disease. It's a very special day and special tribute to the senior citizens who need it most, who often have morbidities, more than one disease and so on, maybe stressed financially, living alone, and a lot of them are women. In the elderly population, there are more women than men. So it's a real tribute to the people of India. This initiative will go a very long way in wiping the tears of a lot of people and give better health.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Dr. V.K. Paul, member Niti Aayog. Thank you for enlightening us on the finer aspects of the Ayushman Bharat scheme and the schemes launched by Prime Minister today. Now moving on, the celebrations of Ayurveda Day 2024 with the theme of Ayurveda Innovation for Global Health. They were held at the High Commission of India in Bangladesh as well on Tuesday. As part of Ayurveda Day celebration, the Indira Gandhi Cultural Center organized lectures and exhibition stalls on Ayurveda, followed by the Sitar Sangeet in Dhaka. And speaking on the occasion, the Acting High Commissioner of India in Bangladesh, Pawan Bhade, he emphasized on the importance of collaboration and knowledge sharing between India and Bangladesh in the field of Ayurveda and other traditional medicines. Ayurveda experts, researchers, students, representatives, and the pharmaceutical industry. Also prominent people of civil society in Bangladesh were present on the occasion. India's Home Minister Amit Shah unveiled a statue of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in New Delhi on Tuesday. Sardar Patel was India's first Deputy Prime Minister and India's first Home Minister. Minister Amit Shah also launched a mobile app for civil registration. This application will make registration of births and deaths seamless and hassle-free by allowing citizens to register at any time from any place in their own state official language. You're watching DD India Newshour. Time now for the sports news. And India have clinched the three-match one-day series against New Zealand by beating the Kiwis by 6 wickets in the final ODI in Ahmedabad. We're talking about women's cricket here. Powered by Smriti Mandhana's sensational ton of 122 balls and skipper Harmanpreet Kaur's 70-run knock, India successfully chased down 233 runs target in 44.3 overs. Mandhana, who hit her 8th ODI century, also made history, going past Mithali Raj's tally of the most hundreds by an Indian women batter in ODIs. After opting to bat first, the White Ferns, they were bowled out for 232 and 49.5 overs. And with this win, the hosts managed to claim the series 2-1. The result could act as a positive for India's group stage T20 World Cup 2024 exit. Real Madrid star Vinicius Jr. has broken his silence after finishing second in the 2024 Ballon d'Or voting behind Manchester City midfielder Rodri, suggesting that his outspoken fight against racism may have influenced the outcome. Barcelona and Spain star Aitana Bonmati earlier won her second successive women's Ballon d'Or after leading her club to a historic continental quadruple of titles and claiming the Nations League with her country. Well, India is celebrating Dhanteras on Tuesday. It's also known as Tantra Yodashi. It marks the start of the Diwali festivities across the country, and this auspicious day is recognized as a harbinger of good luck, wealth and prosperity, with many people, in fact, making purchases of silver and gold, whether, in small tokens or also significant amounts. Let's join Diptanshu Kashyap for more on this vibrant celebration.
Dhanteras, also known as Dhantrayodashi, is an annual festival which marks the beginning of 5-day-long Diwali festivities in India. It occurs on the 13th lunar day of Krishna Paksh in the Hindu month of Ashwin. While the word Dhan means wealth, Teras signifies the 13th day, symbolizing prosperity and health. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted the nation on this occasion, wishing everyone good health and happiness. Many best wishes to the countrymen on Dhanteras. With the blessings of Lord Dhanvantari, may your life always be filled with good health and happiness and prosperity. This is my wish. On this day, people buy gold, silver, or utensils, believing it brings good fortune and wealth. Devotees worship Lord Dhanvantari for health and honor Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, inviting prosperity into their homes and businesses.
Basically, Dhanteras is an auspicious day in which it is said to be that buying gold is mainly a lucky thing. You should buy gold, and I came here to buy gold coin because it is reusable. Means it's reinvestment basically. So that's why I came here to buy that.
As families prepare for the festivities, the spirit of Dhanteras is felt in the air. This occasion serves as a reminder of the importance of health, wealth, and togetherness, marking a hopeful beginning for the celebrations ahead. After this comes Choti Diwali, which is the second day. This day celebrates the triumph of good over evil, with people bathing early, decorating their homes, and preparing sweets to share. The third day is the main day of Diwali, celebrated by lighting diyas, exchanging gifts, and worshipping Goddess Lakshmi for health, wealth, and prosperity. On the fourth day, is Govardhan Puja. It is believed that Lord Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill to provide the villagers of Vrindavan shelter from torrential rains. This incident symbolizes God offering protection to devotees who take singular refuge in Him. The last day is Bhai Dooj. It concludes with a day dedicated to sibling bonds as brothers and sisters exchange blessings and gifts in a spirit of love and unity. Bureau Report for DD India.
Well, Ramayana is being narrated through a sound and light show as the laser show begins at Ram Ki Paidi in Ayodhya's Naya Ghat. The festival will showcase the city's heritage with artists, and these artists are coming from 6 countries and India, including Ram Leela from Uttarakhand. This year's Deepotsav, it holds particular significance as it is the first to take place after the consecration of the Ram Lalla idol at the temple. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available in both Android and iOS platforms, so scan the QR code and download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.